Go. Go.
Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli, and tonight I'll be joined by... First up, he's so happy the season is finished, he went and bought himself a multi-pack of mini cheddars and a tin of Pepsi Max. It's Danny, the GFP. Hello, Danny.
Oh, sweetheart, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Fat, hairy. Look at that. Look at the amount of beard on that. I've got the council coming around tomorrow to give me a trim, upstairs and down.
You'll get you. That's all right. Have you seen the way the council cut the grass? They'll probably leave fucking stubble all over your face.
As long as they take me to hospital when they're done, I don't really care what they do. Oh, I've got an itch on my nose. Oh, they're all done.
Oh, they'll probably check out your ass at the same time. Most of the things that you've had wrong with you have involved your ass this season.
Thank you very much. Why is there a delay?
Next, I will introduce... I don't know. But this is live, so
Is
I
it
mean
live?
that's what you've got to expect, isn't it? Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Good God. Whatever next. Go on.
I mean, I know there's one easy way of testing a cunt, then you can't edit it. So
one of
technically...
you, I know what the problem might be. Have any of you got the chat window open where we can talk to people on YouTube Live?
No.
Yeah,
I've got the
Right,
I
chat.
have.
go to that window and make sure you've got that YouTube channel muted.
What's that mean?
Okay.
Only because
It's
we're
muted. It's muted.
Okay.
Where are we talking about now, Daniel?
Okay.
They don't know you're here yet, Geoff. Shush.
Oh, shut up. I'm an amateur at this
you're
game.
fucking anonymous, Geoff.
Fuck's
Yeah,
sake.
Jesus, and you were the next person to be invited in.
Well, let's start again with regard to introducing me. I think that would be, I'll put on a squeaky voice or something.
Well, that's Gimli's job.
Alright, here we go. You're such a prick. You're such a prick. Right, next up is Geoff Arsenal. Hello, Geoff.
Hey, how you doing, Gim?
You can see I'm pulling out all the stops for the end of season podcast. You had another witty intro.
Different class, mate. That's what I like to hear. Huh?
You're glad to be with us?
You know what? I've had terrible. I've had fantastic fun for the last couple of days. We've been breaking Twitter polls, Arsenal fans, haven't we? I mean, I don't know whether you've seen it on Twitter, but the Chelsea fans are absolutely crying. It's so funny. There's a Premier League poll of all the best players for the season, and yesterday it was Cesc versus Yaya Toure. Cesc was miles in front. Someone got me involved. I retweeted it, and we absolutely busted it. And Yaya won the poll. And then tonight we had Hazard and a few other players, and we've corrupted the poll. And Matic from Southampton is winning the
Chelsea.
No, I beg your pardon. No, what's the kid from Southampton? I can't remember his name.
Tadic?
Oh, not Wanyama.
Tadic, that's right. Yeah, so we're busting the polls, and the Chelsea fans. It's so much fun on Twitter at the moment. It's brilliant.
It is fantastic, and it has been such a good vibe on Twitter since we won a certain FA Cup. But I should introduce the rest of the guests because they're having to stay silent at the moment. Big man.
Plenty good enough.
It's for the Welshman. And speaking of which, there he is. Hello, Jason Davies. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, pal. How are you?
I'm not too bad. You've been lucky enough to see what's gone on behind the camera this evening. Unfortunately, the rest of the guys haven't. But it's safe to say that I'm having my own little party here.
You're having a party in your pants, son. Well done. I'm impressed.
I know, it's fantastic. Right, we will move on then. And the next person that I must introduce is Other Geoff, our chief blogger. Hello, Other Geoff.
How you doing, fella? Nice to see you.
Do you know what? It's nice to hear that voice on the second podcast that we've done this week. That'd be a prompt for people to... Yeah, that's a prompt for people to go and listen to the Bloggers podcast that we did on Sunday evening, which was a very, very good listen indeed. I have listened back to myself. And yeah, it was very, very good. The Bloggers absolutely knocked it out of the park, didn't they, Geoff?
I tell you what, the boys really enjoyed themselves, and I thanked you and Dan, the man there, for letting us come on and share our voices. So they smashed it. I'm really proud of them.
I don't know if he's been invited in yet or if he's back. Lovely stuff. And we come with our own sound effects this evening. So if you're listening live and you're tuning in, it's even more of a bonus for you. Say hello to everybody in the chat box. You can get involved as we are live. You can ask us questions. We've got a little bit of a Q&A coming up, so feel free to pop your questions in the chat box and we will do our best to answer them. So we'll kick on with the podcast then, and I don't think there's really any better way to start than talking about our 4-0 win over Aston Villa at Wembley. Geoff, you were there, so could you talk us through your day?
You know what? It was absolutely superb. I met up with a load of Twitterati, as we call it, in a seedy hamburger joint, which is just behind the Hilton Hotel at Wembley. We had a lovely. It was plastic food, but we had a really good time. We had a good laugh before the game. Went in. I had fantastic seats on the halfway line, and you know what? I'm always a little bit nervous for games at Wembley because we always find a way to make it difficult for ourselves. But I was quite confident going into this game. I predicted 3-0 before the game, and I was really confident. I thought we had too much as long as we turned up, and the way it went, the way we started off, we were just passing the ball about. It was always one-way traffic all the way through, and as soon as we scored that first goal, it was inevitable that it was going to go on and beat the crap out of Villa. And you know what? Ultimately, that's what we did do. We was in every single area of the pitch, every single player to a man was absolutely first class, wasn't they? And you know, a record 12th FA Cup title. Wenger won six of those titles, which he now goes into the record books with I think Fergie and the previous Villa manager.
He's beaten Fergie.
No, it's not even
Yeah,
Fergie,
yeah, I think he's even beaten
No.
Fergie, which is fantastic because you know me, I'm a big Wenger in man. And the day was unbelievable. The fans was unbelievable. There was so much yellow there. It was brilliant. You know, it was such a memorable day, and you know, I've been to every final at Wembley since the Leeds final back in the 70s, and this one was up there with it because it was the most comfortable final. Oh, gee, what did you watch it on the TV?
I did. We had friends and family over here. The kickoff was 9:30 a.m. and I gotta agree with you there in terms of comfort. I don't remember a final for us ever being comfortable. And you just knew the amount of pressure that we put on that Villa side right from square one. You just knew that once that first goal went in, it was going to be a landslide. The manner in which we took our goals, we had good chances early. We were putting pressure on them. We just had too much for them, didn't we?
We did. I mean, the next question that I really wanted to ask, and we'll go to our man in Jason Davies. Back-to-back FA Cups. I mean, that's quite an achievement, isn't it, Jace?
It's not too shonky, is it? You know, not many teams have done it. The WBA radio show after the West Brom game, and as we said, you know, Villa, the type of team, they can cause you problems. You know, they beat us 3-1 last season at the Emirates, but you know, we're capable of putting 5 past them. I was just so impressed. 1-11. Even Szczesny looked solid for as little as he had to do. He did it really well. You know, whenever the ball had to come back when we were in attack, you had Monreal there. The boys were up for the big game and they delivered. And all credit to them. You know, Sanchez and Santi were superb. I thought Ozil, the way he stroked that ball around, and no matter how many men were on him, he always had time on the ball. It was fantastic. Theo.
Southampton did us a favour because Wenger obviously saw the way that Southampton played, and I said this on the last podcast, that Southampton absolutely ruined them going through the middle with pace, and there's no way that they could deal with it because their 2 centre-backs are rubbish. Well, they played rubbish. They've only got one half-decent one. And then playing... the Shea Given in goal. I mean, the bloke's 40 years old. I mean, I'd have done a better job in goal. I mean, he saved a couple of that one he cleared straight at him, and he dived with his. I think he dived with his left hand and palmed it out. And I thought, oh, here we go. But we should have been 3-0 up before we scored the first goal. But I think that's why Wenger played Walcott up front as a striker against West Brom just to see if he was on form, and he was, and he absolutely ruined them. And I said this in the last pod, that's what he's going to do. If he starts with Walcott and we ruin him with pace early on, there's nothing they can do about it. And we should have, that game could have easily been 7-8, 9-0 to us. They had one shot and that wasn't even on target. They were absolute shit.
They were. I mean, he took his goal very well as well, didn't he, OG? I mean, absolutely superb take. He's come back with a few fine performances, knocked in with a few goals. He scored that hat-trick against West Brom. In the end, I think it was the right decision, wasn't it, to play him? I mean, when you look at it in the cold light of day, how can you drop someone that has scored a hat-trick in the previous game? You can't, can you?
Well, it's an interesting talking point for sure, because he hadn't shown his best up until that hat trick playing centrally. There's a lot of people that came after him after he was injured. He didn't look right. He didn't look like he quite had the touch that he'd had before. But he was out for a year, and that's a significant injury. And you know, as much as it takes the body time to heal, it can be a mental game as well, and he was coming back into an established squad. This is the team that he came back into that had Coquelin emerging. Ozil was back from injury. He was looking more physical and on top of his game, so it wasn't easy for him to get back into the team. I love the fact that we tried him centrally. I haven't, honestly, when I've seen him centrally before, I haven't had a strong opinion of him. I felt that the physical side of it has really taken him out of the game. And West Brom aside, when I looked at the decision, I did question it a little bit, you know, so don't give me a hard time. But really, when I look at the physicality of Villar and Okorie in Villa, I thought maybe there was an opportunity to go missing. And sort of the difference between having a high-line defense and more of sitting back and inviting the pressure was always going to be an interesting piece as well. But what I think about, and this has been always something that Arsene has said about Theo Walcott, and you've heard it in other interviews, is he's an instinctual finisher, and when he gets himself into trouble, it's sort of like a double-edged sword. He can get in behind defenses, especially if they play a high line, and it's almost like he has too much time to think about it rather than instinctually finishing. And when I saw that goal go in on the weekend, that's what that was. It was instinctual. He was Johnny on the spot. He got in there. He finished it so well. And he just caused some problems. He was just popping up in the right place. And so it was an interesting facet to Theo's game. It's one I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of next year. I'd love to see it sustained, right? You know, you want to see that over a sustained period. But in the end, how can you question that decision? I mean, it was absolutely the right decision. He scored a wonderful goal. He made chances beforehand, and he was involved, and he was here, there, and everywhere. So at the end of the day, absolutely the right decision.
And you say about next season, and from one Geoff to another, we saw Theo talking after the game, and he talked about the hopes for next season. Geoff, you might be one to shed a little bit more light into this one because of the people that you know, should I say. There is a fair amount of uncertainty at the moment as to whether Theo will be shipped out in the summer or whether he's going to be given a new deal. From that interview, it seemed like he wanted to stay, or he wants to stay. Can you shed any more light on that for us? I mean, Theo has always been a player that we all absolutely love the socks off of him, but I think we all think at one point or another that he could be performing slightly better.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he hasn't played, as Geoff said. He's come back from a long injury. It's been very difficult for him to get into the team because we've been winning since January. That's been his problem. But you know, there's such a shortage of top quality strikers out there that we might have just found another one from inside our own camp. If like I've always said it, I've said it on other podcasts. I'm a big believer in Theo Walcott, but Theo Walcott with confidence. And what we've been seeing over the last couple of games is you know, he's played without the fear. The pressure's really off him. You know, we'd more or less glued that third place. We then go into a cup final. I think it was a masterstroke by Wenger, really, because I don't think Tim Sherwood would have reckoned that he'd play Theo up top to start with. So I think that was a masterstroke, because with Theo's pace, he does give you something So totally different. Villa couldn't push up. They couldn't play a high line because they would have got nailed because they're not particularly fast. Their back four. So our game was made much more easier because we want to play in the final third, and that's what happened. That's how we dominated the game. But Theo, with regard to his contract, I only hear bits and pieces. Obviously, I don't hear everything. It's just impossible. But as far as I understand, Theo wants to stay. It's just all about sorting out the contract, the minutiae, so to speak. And I honestly do firmly believe that he'll be at Arsenal Football Club for another 2 years at least.
I mean, it's all very interesting, isn't it? I think this is a player that we can definitely get some more out of. He's been here for such a long time. Some might argue that the course of progression over the years that he's been here haven't lived up to the hype, maybe. But do you think, Jason, that he can play a role? And I can see you there playing with your helmet on Google Hangouts. But do you think that Theo is a player that we can feasibly play through the middle next season and get 20+ goals out of?
If his head's in the right place and he shows the hunger, yes. I mean, we spoke about it on the WhatsApp group during the Swansea game and the Sunderland games, where we thought he looked tentative, and he did. He was tentative. There's no getting away from it. But against WBA, he grasped his chance, took it with both hands and smashed it. And then on the cup final, he looked really sharp. I've got to be honest with you. I wasn't sure if we'd want him to stay at one point, but if he's going to show that type of attitude and that type of desire, then yes, damn right, he's a player we want to be at the club. But he's got to want to be there. I think he can do it. It's up to him how he applies himself.
I think if I can butt in there, I think that the penny's got to drop with Theo. Once the penny drops, I think he can be a world-class striker. I really do.
Absolutely, Geoff. I mean, he's got the talent. We just want him to show his talent. He's got the pace. He's got the ability. He's got everything. Don't tell me that there are players out there who are far, far, far superior to him. He can do it, unless you're talking a Ronaldo or a Messi. Theo could be as good as the Bales of this world, but he's got to apply himself and he's got to deliver. And I'd love to see him deliver in an Arsenal kit. I'd love to see that happen. But if we're gonna have the histrionics of the last transfer saga with him, well, are we prepared to go through that? I don't know. But I'd really like to see him thrive with us. I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's many Arsenal fans that wouldn't love to see Theo perform week in, week out in an Arsenal shirt. I'm actually pleased to announce that we do have Kate with us now. She's managed to sort out the laptop and she's jumped on to some questions. And we've also got Kris as well. Don't cut me off. I was on it.
All right. Who else is here, Kim, apart from the wonderful Kate?
We've got Geoff, we've got OG, Kate, we've got Davies, Kris,
Davies is gone.
We've also got myself. Has Davies gone?
He's run away.
Oh, the twat in the hat. Like I said, like I've just put in the chat box away from this, 66 votes for this kind of hosting. I know we're going to talk about the awards later, but to be honest with you, I'm disgusted with all of you. But we will carry on the subject of Theo, and we'll go to Kate next. Kate, how much would it mean to you to see Theo start performing? I mean, there is talks in the newspaper that he is after 130 grand a week. Do you think he's worth that?
Last couple of appearances, probably not. Well, no, I don't think any player's worth that. But if that's what we've got to pay to keep him, then that's what we've got to pay to keep him. I do not want to have a dog that is named after a Liverpool player.
Kill the dog.
That's saying. Seriously, that dog has been in heat all week. Seriously,
No, he's not been in heat. She's been in heat. He's just been a mong chasing around after her.
Seriously, if ever a dog needed murdering, it was that one. He's been running around like a dog with two dicks all week. Oh, right, and no. Anyway, this is like just gone completely to pot. Kris has gone. Wonderful. So we'll carry on with the other controversial decision for the day, which was Wojciech Szczesny getting his starting goal. Danny, we'll come to you. Your thoughts on this one? Was it the right choice?
I think it had to be for a personal view, the way that Wenger does stuff. You can't drop Szczesny last season when he was playing quite well and bring in Fabianski, the cup goalkeeper, and then not do exactly the same thing this season. And just like last season, it looks like after Szczesny's now been caught smoking yet again, that he's going to be out the door just like Fabianski was last season. So we've got a player who's played in the cup final. Our first choice goalkeeper didn't play, didn't get the medal. Well, he was on the bench, but I know players don't really consider it a medal unless they played. So it looks like he's going to be going. So he did do the right thing. Personally, I wouldn't have done, but he had a good game. He didn't fuck up. We won 4-0, kept a clean sheet. Can't argue with anything that Wenger does as usual because he knows best.
It's all about trust, isn't it? You know, it's about the trust. He always plays the same team, generally all the way through, that's played in the previous rounds. The goalkeeper's been an issue in the past, and he's always done the same thing. The players trust him. If they play the early rounds, they'll play in the cup final. And I think that's right. That's the only way. If you lose that trust in the dressing room, then you're worthless. So it's the only decision he could make.
I echo that, Geoff. We'll talk about the smoking thing again. The major back page on, I can't remember which shit rag it was, but has got Szczesny in a nice little hat, smoking himself a cigarette back home in Warsaw. OG, I want to come to you with this one. Some might argue that it's the off-season and a player can do what he wants. Others will argue he's a professional footballer, 365 days a year. And that he should be looking after his body even if the off-season. Where do you sit on this one? Is he wrong or right? Not bother you? Or do you think, this isn't the first time, I believe it's the third that he's been caught smoking. We know that Arsene Wenger isn't a fan of his players smoking. Where do you sit on this one?
Well, he's not the only footballer who smokes. So it just seems to be that he gets himself caught in a bit of trouble. And I think, for me, I don't care if they smoke or not. It's what they do on the pitch. But for me, the fact that it seems to be him a lot maybe speaks to his mentality. And I think throughout the season, my beef with Szczesny, and even beyond that, has been that mentally he seems like he needs to grow up a little bit. There's the case, I think it was last year, where he shut down his Twitter. He said, I've got to grow up. I can't use Twitter anymore. And he just sort of seems mentally immature. And I don't want my goalie to be like that. So I want him to figure it out. I want him to kind of rise into the role, because I think he's got all the attributes to be a fantastic keeper, and he's young, and he's the type of guy who could really have a long career at Arsenal. But I look at it, I'm almost jealous, right? I wish I was in that position to be a first teamer at the Arsenal, and here he is, and it would be a shame for any of the players to throw it away because of their personal life. So again, the smoking thing, not so much, but the fact that there's a pattern there and how that could creep into his on-field play is the question mark I would have about Wojciech.
Jason, will come to you next, and Geoff has already highlighted that it always seems like it's him if there's any controversy or if there's anything in the paper. Are we best just getting shot of that? Because although he's a talent and he loves Arsenal, you'd like to think that he'd take his career a little bit more seriously, wouldn't you?
To be honest with you, yes. The kid's he's not a kid anymore. He's 24, 25 now. The smoking business, whatever he does in off season, that's none of my business, so to speak. But there's always something with him, isn't there? Day before the cup final, there's a thing on Facebook. Yeah, I haven't spoken to my father in 2 years. Why the day before the cup final? Why not after his father made the comments about Mertesacker and so forth. The guy can't seem to get it right ever. You know, he just, whatever decision he makes seems to be the wrong one at the moment. And let's be honest, goalkeeping's all about decision making. You know, I'd love to see him have a chat with Wenger and say, yes, I want to stay, I want to fight for my place, I'm prepared to sit on the bench, I'm prepared to bide my time to get my chance to come back. But if he's not prepared to do that, get him gone quickly. And, you know, I still think we need a world-class keeper anyway. I don't think him or Ospina are good enough for what we need, but... You know, that's just my opinion. You know, what Arsene Wenger sees is totally different. But it seems to be never-ending with Wojciech. And that's a shame, you know, because he's got all the talent in the world. It would be really, really nice if he could see that come to fruition at the Arsenal. He's been at the youth academy. It would be a terrible shame for him to go. You know, it really would.
Yeah, I think everyone's overreacting, mate. I really do. Well, why is everyone making such a big thing out of it?
It's one thing after another, Geoff, you know. I mean, look, the fact he's smoking in Poland, I haven't got a problem with, okay? But, you know, the day before the cup final, on his Facebook page, I haven't spoken to my father in 2 years in relation to his comments about Per Mertesacker. I do not agree with it. Well, those comments were 5 months ago. Why is he doing that the day before a cup final?
No, because I think that the father had gone on again. Yeah, it was on the same day, and that's why he was responding to it.
But you know, I'm not being funny, guys. It's a day for cup final. Why are you? I don't know. I'm guessing, but. Well, I'm not guessing, but I heard on the radio that the father said some stuff that was a little bit near the bone. Right.
So he had to make some kind of response. He thought maybe, but I mean, with regard to the smoking, some of the best footballers in the world smoke and have smoked.
Paul Ince.
But I don't see what the problem is. So what, you know, it's social media and, you know, this lust for jumping on everybody all the time. You know, it is what it is. He has a fag every now and again, like a lot of footballers. What difference does it make? I really couldn't care two hoots.
To be fair, I thought his performance on Saturday was really good. I know he didn't have a shot on target to save, but every time the ball came in, he committed himself. He came out. He was big and strong. He didn't seem to be like a bunny in the headlights like he's been in his previous performances after the Southampton game. So, you know, I mean, that's a step in the right direction. The one thing I will say is, I think, you know, you can trust in Wenger to sit down, have a chat with him, and they'll make the right decision. I really do think that will happen.
It's not even a decision to be made. I think the lad's staying at Arsenal. He's going to fight for his place at Arsenal. I think he'll have a chance again of getting in, and I still think he's got a future at Arsenal Football Club. I really do. I think he's a goalkeeper with him.
But in all fairness, G, that's exactly what we want to hear, isn't it? You know, that sort of aptitude and, you know, and tenacity to say, yes, I'm going to stay, I'm going to fight for my place, is exactly what we need. We want to hear as fans. You know, you can forgive him a howler, but if his head's in the right place and he wants it, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jace. We'll move on to brighter topics now. And we should talk about an Alexis watch. Budget Jesus has joined us, so we will indeed chuck you in at the deep end, Kris. Let's have your analysis of Alexis' performance for the cup final.
Good evening, Gim. Good evening, everybody. How are we all?
Good evening.
Good evening. I apologise firstly. I'm very sweaty. Sorry about that. Alexis. Wow, the guy's just been sensational all season, and he typified that with Saturday's performance. That's very good. Thank you, Danny.
Right, who's fucking?
Look who's laughing.
Danny's
who's giggling like a girl. It's not me, is it?
It's Welsh Justice. That's who it is.
He's
my nemesis.
It's Davies.
Yeah.
It's like someone's shown him a big fucking red button.
Saying, don't press it.
There he goes. Anyway, Yeah.
What a cunt.
What a cunt. Do you expect anything different? I mean, come on. Anyway, back in the real world. Yeah. The guy's mustard. He's come in, as the marquee signing in the summer. His goals return has been. Am I right in saying he's the highest sort of first season goal scorer since the Henry days? In fact, even further than that, possibly. 20 odd goals, or plus 20 goals all season. He drags the team along with him, even when he was in his sort of low ebbs of form, when he looked a little bit burnt out, a little bit tired. He was still the hardest working player on the pitch, and that's all credit to the lad. The fact he turned down Liverpool to join us is also a bonus. And that FA Cup final goal, I mean, was it one of the greatest or not? Does it matter? It was a wonderful goal. It capped a wonderful performance, and that's the reason why he came to the club, to win trophies. He's won one in his first season. And the guy is only going to get better, and that's the exciting part about it. I honestly think that given another season, next year we could see even more from him, and who knows who he might be playing alongside as well.
That's very true. Kate, I want to get your thoughts on that goal as well. There were many commentators that said that it was one of the best goals that they'd ever seen at New Wembley. Is that something that you'd go with? I mean, it was a hell of a goal, wasn't it? I mean, it had power, it had the bend on it as well. I think I've seen a newspaper story that said that it was 66 mile an hour, and the curve of it was quite sublime, wasn't it?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, we were shouting and screaming at the television, and he totally justified my getting his name on the back of my shirt as the first person I've ever had on the back of my shirt. So I love Alexis. He's amazing, and I'm so glad we bought him.
And Kris is right, isn't he? There's so much more to come from him next season. I mean, we've seen from our marquee players in the past that they might have had okay first seasons, but they've always gone on to do better. I mean, Giroud is one that after a season with Arsenal, it seems he started his second season with extra pace. His first touch was much better. We've not seen the full Alexis yet, have we?
No, I don't think so. This is his first season. He's settled in amazingly well, and next season can only get better. Well, I hope it can only get better. And I think Ozil will settle in
I believe it
next
can.
Season.
Exactly, and that's prompted me to Jason as well. You were talking this podcast, and you said what a hell of a game he had on Saturday. Yeah. Let's have a little bit of a talk through of his performance. He's been slated a lot this season. I've seen loads and loads of tweets with his at in it, calling him out and saying that he's stealing a living. But he was sublime. Again, another player that was sublime, wasn't he, Jason?
Just there's certain things with any sportsman when it's a contact sport or ball sport like that, where they've got time on the ball. And he always had time on the ball, no matter how many people are around him trying to get at him. He's just dragging it back, looking for space. He's utilising the free men around him wisely. He just knows where everybody is. Restart play, if he got in a bit too much trouble, he just didn't give the ball away cheaply. It was just a fabulous performance, and some of the passes he was pulling off, the pressure that puts on other teams when they can't get the ball off you, and you're worried about where the next pass is going to, who's going to be the beneficiary. You've got to watch the runners, because this man is capable of putting that ball in front of somebody going on goal. He was just magnificent. There was a tweet earlier on today. I retweeted something from Beck's, where I think it was Andy Dunn, the journalist, said, Saturday was his canvas, and Mesut Ozil stroked the ball about like a paintbrush on that canvas. It was just really something to behold. You're watching him, and not at any point are you worried that he's going to screw up. And he works hard. He really does work hard. And if people want to give him grief, fair enough. But for my money, they haven't got a fucking clue what they're talking about.
No, I mean, it is very true. His performance has been highly spoken about. OG, I'll come to you. He's had his critics this season, but he is a big name player that has performed on one of the biggest stages of them all. The FA Cup is watched all around the world, a stupid amount of countries. He really did perform on the big stage, didn't he?
Yeah, he absolutely did. I'm a massive Ozil fan. I love, his point about how he finds space on the field and how he always seems to have space. It's those little side out of position. It's just different level. And one of my favorite tweets that I saw after the FA Cup was, "I'd love to go to the planet that Mesut Ozil lives on for just one day." I mean, his vision is spectacular. His touch is fantastic. And the other part of it, I think, is sort of satisfying, if you will, is that he really stuttered after the World Cup. It sounded like he had a bit of a knee injury. He was playing out on the left-hand side. His body language was bad. He looked a little jaded. He actually looked tired. And so, he picks up the injury. He takes some time off. We all know he comes back. He looks like he's bulked up and really up for the fight. And it's just really satisfying. And you can see the understanding is growing there. And I'll be honest, my heart skips a beat because those two are the two you really want to tick. You bring in Santi Cazorla and you bring in Walcott Giroud and some of the other players around that, and magic will happen on the pitch.
But didn't you think that the players seem to be getting on his level now as well? You saw some of the runs on Saturday. That's a big game they're playing, and other players seem to understand where he wants to put the ball.
Yeah, it takes time to develop that understanding, and a lot of that's got to be done on the pitch, on the training pitch, right? And so the fact that he was missing for a part of the year, and last year was his first year, people are starting to understand that. And the more players, like-minded players he has around him, the better that's going to be. So you see Sanchez, who's played at the absolute top levels in Barcelona, he's going to have that higher understanding. I think. I remember hearing a little bit about Dennis Bergkamp in training sessions. He said he had signals that he would do. If he dropped his shoulder, it meant he wanted it on his right. It's those little bits of understanding that are going to continue to build. Ozil will make other players look great. And I think that's really your point as well, is that as they develop that understanding, it's going to be immense and different quality for sure.
I mean, I agree. I thought his performance on the day was, it was absolutely stunning. We'll talk about the third goal then, and of course, Per Mertesacker in an absolute acre of space, and no one can give the BFG that amount of time. Kate, how happy were you to see Mertesacker pop up and get a final goal? We know how much he loves Arsenal. We've all seen the pictures of him in his Arsenal kit as a young lad. It was just fantastic to see him score, and you could see just how much it meant to him in the celebration, couldn't you?
You could, and I believe I actually said to you about half an hour, maybe 20 minutes before he scored, saying that the one player you'd like on the pitch at the time is Mertesacker because he's got the height, and you said, oh, he's too slow. And I said, nope, he can pop up and do something, and he popped up and did something. So I take credit for that one. Although, to be fair, he has been really good all season, and he's had a long season with the World Cup and everything, and I just, he's a great player. I love Mertesacker.
Yeah, I mean, I think we ought to do it. Does anybody else want to come in about Per Mertesacker? There were actually, I did see a few people tweeting on the day that they saw that they thought that Gabriel should get the place alongside Koscielny. He really did perform on the day, didn't he? I mean, who wants to come in on this, Kris?
Yeah, sorry about that, mate. There's clearly gremlins in the internet. Either that or Jace has set something up in my house. Yeah, I wasn't one of them that thought Gabriel should play, personally. I think he'll get more games next year. I've always been a Mertesacker fan. I think it's all about partnerships with sort of defenders. It's all about who they're comfortable playing with. And Mertesacker struggled without Koscielny. As soon as you put Koscielny and Mertesacker together, he looks a different player again. He's never going to be Usain Bolt. He's never even going to be as quick as Danny, even downhill, even uphill. But he's. But he's, he reads the game well. The old cliche, you don't get over 100 caps for a World Cup winning team unless you're good. Anyone that says, oh, he's shit, is just a lazy argument. He's a very, very talented defender. Yes, he might look awkward sometimes, but he's a leader. He leads by example. He's experienced, and you need people like that in your squad if you're going to win things. So, I'm all for him, and he had a good game, and I'm pleased for him.
He also had Benteke in his pocket.
Absolutely. Yep.
Gimli, can I add a little
something? He certainly did. Go.
Oh, Jason's doing Morse
You've
code.
Got terrible.
You're right, Jason. There's a slight delay after we're speaking, Gim, with you, because I think your internet's a little bit wonky, but it's working fine if anyone's worried. We've got 102 listeners. I think that's the viewers at the moment, which is that's people logged in and watching. So I think that's a record for us so far. But talking about the BFG, I remember he said halfway through the season he had World Cup winners hangover, and there was a little article recently came out where he was saying that Wenger helped him get through that. And I think one hell of a boost for him next season to score a goal in the FA Cup final for someone who, even by his own admittance, was lagging partway through the season. I think that's brilliant managership yet again by Mr. Wenger.
I agree, and we should also talk about Giroud's goal as well. We've already talked in the podcast about how Walcott got the game instead of Giroud, but he took it incredibly well. I've seen a tweet of what he said, and he basically said that he realised that he was going to be dropped, but he said that it was all for the sake of the good of the team, and when he came on the pitch, all he wanted to do was score a goal. And he did that, didn't he, Geoff? With quite some quality.
Yeah, typical Giroud goal that was, wasn't it? Good stuff on the right-hand side, good cross in. I thought it was offside at first, to be honest with you, but a good little tap in. But it was great technique. He still had a lot to do. He had to finish it, But it just shows the team spirit that it's a massive event, an FA Cup final, and he must have been extremely disappointed to not get selected in as a first choice. But again, he's a man about it. He realises it's a team game, and Wenger obviously wanted to have different kind of tactics, playing Theo up top, maybe more mobile, and he took it really, really well. And even his after talk, when he mentioned about it being a team game, and he accepts it, and that he wasn't at all bitter about it. He was just delighted to be amongst another cup final winning team, and that's the main thing. It's all about continuation. The more they grow together. I think it will go on to bigger and better things. As long as we can keep that group together, add a couple of players in the summer, we can have a right go this year. I really, really do believe it.
Yeah, we've got that bit coming up. We've got the next segment is talking about the season so far, what have been our highs and our lows. We're going to talk a little bit about next season, what we're looking forward to, what we'd expect, who we think is going to be brought in, and also what we need. But I'll come to OG next, and I still want to talk about Giroud's goal because we saw it. It was a Chamberlain cross from the wing, came in. Giroud took it on the outside of the boot and just slotted it in. I think he scored a similar one against Tottenham. It's a finish that he's got down to an absolute T, isn't it, OG?
Yeah, I think Geoff said it best. It was a very sort of typical goal, but he did have a lot to do with it, making that run across and sort of the outside of the boot that he's perfected into the near post. But I'm actually glad that you mentioned the Ox on the assist on that, because to me that was just as much of a story as the goal. I think he came on late, and everyone was kind of saying, I think even the commentators where I was at were saying, well, he's just getting an appearance. But the fact that he harried the defense, he got the ball down the right hand side, and he put in a nice little near post cross for Giroud, which is Giroud's bread and butter, as you mentioned. I love it. I love that part of the story, that both of them were able to contribute like that. And yeah, it wasn't the winning goal, but they'll feed off that. Scoring and assisting in a cup final is fantastic.
Yeah,
Gimli,
it certainly is. Yes.
I think I don't know if anyone's. I said I don't know if anyone else has said it yet, because I was typing to the people in the chat box. Hello, everybody in the chat box. Yeah, I think what a wonderful way for Giroud to break his goal duct of 9 games. I know the last 2 are only part games, but to score a goal in an FA Cup final, again, like BFG, I think sometimes he suffers from confidence, much like Theo does to a certain extent, and all those players scoring, and they're going to be really up for it next season. And I think we could even do Chelsea in the Charity Shield, not the Community Shield. I refuse to call it that. So I think the players that scored the goals were just fantastic for all of those players personally, and for Wenger because he's shown faith in those players, and they've all come through and done it all. I was delighted. But for the first 25 minutes of the game, my mate, they brought around their new baby, and so I had to have the telly really quiet while they were here. I couldn't ask them to leave because it's the first time I'd met her, whichever is the right appropriate word. Yeah, and so I had to tell it really quiet for the first 25 minutes. I couldn't say a word, but as soon as they went, pumped the volume up to 20, and I was screaming like a gibbon.
Seriously, right, I could tell you a funny story about that. Kate's sister came over, because on Cup final day, right, we always have bacon sandwiches. It's become like a bit of a tradition. FA Cup final day, you wake up, you have a bacon sandwich. That's just the way it is. Kate got a WhatsApp of her sister. Oh, I'm just coming up. I think she came up for the bacon sandwiches. She walked in the door. First thing I said to her was, right, that's it. You can fuck off at 5 o'clock, because I ain't having your fucking jibbing through the football. And she did. Thank you very much.
The man of the house speak.
We've talked. Yeah,
and then
exactly.
you got a
we've talked
beating
about. No, I didn't. I think Kate was of the same opinion. I think we both wanted to fuck off because she don't stop yapping through television programs. Oh, it does my tits in. Yeah. Anyway, back on track. We've all talked about the goals and we've gone into them with some analysis. Jace, I don't wish to drag your name through the mud, but one of the players we haven't talked about is Santi Cazorla, the man that got the bottle of champagne at the end for the man of the match performance. For someone that's been very critical of him this season, and I don't think you'll say that that's harsh, what did you make of his performance on the day? Personally, I thought he was like a little maestro in the centre of midfield.
I thought he was magnificent, to be fair. I think that's exactly what you want from him. Unfortunately, Monaco, Tottenham, Man United away in the league, you didn't see that from him. The Swansea game, anonymous. But on Saturday in the big game, when silverware's on the table, he delivered. This is the thing, the guy's got so much talent, it's beyond belief, but he's got to show it week in, week out. And he has done it for a big part of the season. But, you know, I want to see what Santi's capable of. And on Saturday, we saw that. I've tweeted it. I said at the beginning of the podcast he was superb. You can't get away from it. You know, he ran the show. But again, you know, against Monaco at home, he was anonymous. Against United at Old Trafford in the league, anonymous. You know, you cannot give... If you want to improve, you've got to be harsh on these guys. And that's the only way they're going to improve. But I was really pleased for him. You know, you heard him being interviewed at the end of the game, and you know, he's ambitious as well, and that's nice to see because you don't often hear from Santi. And you know, yeah, we want to challenge the league next season. I thought that was really good, but he just pulled the strings. You know, as I said earlier on, him and Sanchez were brilliant. Ozil was magnificent. You know, I think you could have given man of the match to either one of the three, to be fair. You know, my personal favourite was Ozil, but Santi Cazorla getting it, you got no argument for me there. But again, you know, we want to see that from him in every big match. And this season, nobody can tell me we've seen that from him in every big match, because I'll just go and show you tape from Monaco at home, Man United away in the league. You know, you can't get away from it. When he is on fire, this team clicks. You know, you saw it at Man City in the league. Away at Man City, he was brilliant that day. The game against Besiktas beginning of the season was one of his finest performances in an Arsenal shirt. You know, but when he's off the boil, you know, it hurts us. It hurts us so much because his passing is so quick, it's so crisp. You know, it's so intelligent. He makes us tick, you know. So I thought he was great, and I was really chuffed for him. To be fair,
funny you should say that, Jace, because funny enough, in the ABW podcast votes, I chose Santi as my player of the season. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I chose Nacho.
I just think he's been different class. I think he's adapted his game really, really well, especially this season. He's playing in that deeper role. You see him all over the pitch. He covers every single blade of grass. His technique is absolutely first class, world class. Left foot, right foot. He's even been getting his foot in there. He's been getting stuck in. He's been winning balls. He gets back and straight away and gets into shape as soon as the ball gets turned over or we lose the ball. I think he's been different class, and I think that people that have criticised him. I know you pick out a few of those games, but all the team didn't play well in those games. We just had it was one of them games,
Yeah, but he's the metronome. He sets the standard. People are slagging off Aston Villa on Saturday. To me, I don't get it, because I just thought we didn't allow them to play. I thought that tempo from the back, people said Coughlin was quiet. I don't think Coughlin was quiet. I thought he did his job admirably, and he just let Santi play. Okay, and when Santi sets the tempo like that, Aston Villa couldn't get near us. Their quality of player was not up to the standard, because Cazorla, he just ripped it apart with just intelligent passes. He knew where to go to. As soon as the ball went forward, Rambo was up and down. You had Ozil being superb, and you had the industry and talent of Sanchez. But it was the tone was set by Cazorla, and that's the thing with us. When he plays well, this team plays well. When other teams clamp down on him, and he doesn't react well to it, then we got problems. It's just an opinion, but you look at those games, and he's anonymous. But on Saturday, when it was time to deliver, he did it really well. Fair play to him. You got to take your hat off to the boy. He was superb on Saturday.
Yeah, he was. Is there anybody else that wants to come in on that? Santi has been earmarked for a move to Atletico Madrid this summer. I personally think we should keep him. A lot of people have said that he's knocking on in age. So it's quite an interesting topic. I don't know if anyone wants to step forward and take
Jim.
it on their thoughts. Oh, Jim, could you take it away, mate?
I'd like to, we talked about this on the blogger special on the weekend. He was our player of the season, and Jay and I will disagree a little bit on that. I think some of the games where he had trouble showing up, you have to take into account we asked him to play at least 3 different positions this year, and he's kept us ticking along as best he can. He's come in and he's done a job for us. I recall at the beginning of the season he would be shifted inside and then sometimes out on the left. And then when Ozil got injured, he played in that number 10 role. I remember the Chelsea away game. He played in a more deep-lying role, and he was winning headers. For me, he just made it work. And the fact that we had such a stuttering season with injury in the first half, and then with guys coming back, the fact that he held down his spot all the way through the season, and he kept this going. He kind of had that continuity through the squad. I personally rate him as our player of the season, but there's other contenders, absolutely.
Right then, I feel we should move on. I think we've covered the FA Cup in enough detail. I think we've been going for about 50 minutes now, haven't we? So I think everyone should have their fill by then. So seeing as this is the end of the season podcast, I think it's only right we talk about the season in general. Ups and downs, arguing amongst the fan base. But really, it all came good in the end. Geoff, what did you think of this season? Do you think we've moved on and become a better team from the previous season?
I said it at the start of the season. I said we was a better, stronger outfit than we was the season previously, with the few of the signings that we made. I could just see it happening. We had a poor, not a poor start. Well, I suppose it was a poor start. We drew too many games at the start of the season, but that was down to injuries. There's no doubt about it. It was only down to injuries, and you could see that in the second half of the season, the calendar year, we've been the top team in the Premier League. Now, if we keep all our players fit, our squad of players fit, we've got an awesome squad, And honestly, I just think we've had a fantastic second half of the season, and how people say that we haven't made any progress is absolutely beyond me. Arsenal are a first-class football team now, and like I say, if we can add to it and keep our players, I think we've really got a chance of firing on to bigger things and have a right pop at the Premier League next year and have another go at the Champions League. And I think that Monaco game was a bizarre match, wasn't it? The first game when we conceded that late goal when we should have really just locked it down, gone for the 2-1, and out there we was always going to score out there, and I knew it was going to be 2-0 after we got beat 3-1. It was just inevitable it was going to be 3-1. I mean, people point at that Monaco game and the Champions League disappointments, but it's cup football. Anything can happen. That's proved in the past. But we'll learn from that. We'll get a bit more experience, and hopefully next year we'll go further, or may even get into the final and win it. Let's hope so anyway.
Yes, and I should remind everybody, for the 2 years that you've been podcasting, you have always maintained since day one that 2015 is our year.
Well, we've got to do it.
I'm going to be very predictable. I'm going to say my one high is every single touch of the ball that Alexis Sanchez did, and my one low would be a combination of the start to the season and injuries, which is one in the same. Second half of the season, we won the league by 1 point in the last 19 games. If we'd have had anywhere near that form in the first half, we'd have smashed all those teams that come to us to try and get a draw, and we'd have won the league by maybe 4, 5, 6 points because we were the best playing football team in the league.
Very true.
You answered that quickly,
Kris? No, I really, really didn't. I thought you were going to do a Carpenter on us all, but in the next breath, here he is. Kris, if we could have your high and your low for the season.
Yeah, I'll start with the low because I like to finish on a high. The low it's got to be Spurs. It's just always a low. I don't think I need to say anything more. Do I really? Losing at their place is just. They're just horrible. So that's the low. The high, for me, probably would be the Man United FA Cup game. Just the build up to it, the sense of anticipation, what it meant for the club. I really firmly believe that was a springboard for us to go on and do what we did in the second half of the season. And it's always nice to win up there, particularly when you can go on and win the cup and say, well, we've beaten Man United and Liverpool en route to the final and to winning it. So that would be my highs and lows.
Thank you. Davies?
Yeah, the low is the Monaco game at home. I haven't felt that low in a game for a long time, after the game for a long time. I thought the Stoke game was horrendous. That was really pitiful. But the Monaco game, I felt we were gutless on the night. But the high isn't actually the FA Cup win. It's the way the players spoke after it and their togetherness. I just think, Geoff alluded to earlier on, we've got a special group of players at the moment. But I just think we've got a special team bond as well. I really look at it and think, these guys, they're mates. It reminded me of playing rugby and football with my mates back home when I was younger. They seem there's a solidarity, as Arsene would like to say, amongst them, and there's genuine affection for each other. It's not just we've won a trophy. We get on and we won it together. There seemed to be that about it. So that was the high for me. It was just their interaction, just the way they are together. I think there are happy days ahead for us. I really do.
I should laugh as well. Kamal Cruz in the chat box has put hi when Arteta and Debussy got injured.
Oh, dude, come on. That's fucking shit.
And Coquelin and Bellerin were discovered.
I'm sorry, that's fucking bang out of order. Debussy had a horrible injury. Go fuck yourself, Kamal.
No, Jason.
No, you do. Hi, when Arteta and Debussy got injured, no fucking chance.
It's the end of the season podcast. We should be fucking
party
poppers
and
having a beer, and you're cunting everybody off.
I'm not having that.
No way. How the fucking hell did you get third in this award?
He broke his fucking collarbone. Fuck me blue.
Can
Do you know
I just
what?
think Kamal might have just been saying that he was glad that Coquelin and Bellerin got discovered, not that he was glad that they actually got
It says
bad injuries
hi
to take them out.
when they got injured.
No, I know, but yeah.
Sorry, Kamal.
Do
Do
you
you realise
how hard you make?
What are we saying sorry
Do you
for?
realise how hard you make hosting a podcast? Do you realise that?
I really couldn't give a monkey's, mate.
You haven't got a fucking clue, have you?
If you're wishing injury on our own players, there's something fucked up in this world, boys.
He's just written "Geez, man, hi" is that it led to the discovery. I think he meant that's what he meant. He just phrased it incorrectly. So.
Yes.
Yeah, which is what I said.
Yeah.
I apologise, Kamal.
Should I calm this a little bit and have a go myself?
Go on, Jeff.
Oh, please do, Geoff. This is
try and get a bit of order into the proceedings. The low was the third goal at Stoke City away. We went 3-0 down, and I think that was the banner game, wasn't it? We come back, we had a right good go. It was a little bit unlucky not to come back and get a draw in that game, if I remember rightly. But we got beat 3-2, and there was an absolute outcry from the fan base from a defeat, against a team like Stoke. It happens, quite often. A lot of teams go to places like Stoke where they
Stoke was the train station. West Brom was the one where we won, and they still brought out the banner.
Get out while you can, Joel.
Yeah. But the stuff at the train station when they abused Arsene Wenger and the infamous "get out while you can," Joel. I bet he was delighted after watching the FA Cup final at the weekend. But that was a low point for me in the season, only because of the fan base. It was so divided at that stage. It was just incredible, which was a shame. But the high, bear with me. Sorry, out the cough. The high was for me the FA Cup final, the oldest, most famous cup competition in the world. Every footballer in the UK and maybe abroad dreams about going to an FA Cup final, either as a player or as a supporter of your team, and we did it again, and that was a fantastic high point for me, and winning it the way we did.
Wasn't it lovely hearing the crowd singing "One Arsene Wenger"?
I tell you, that was fantastic. About time too. Honestly, no matter what you think about him, it's about time too.
I gotta be honest, I had a bit of a TMI at that point. I'm a bit of a softie when it comes to that. I just thought all the shit he's been through this year, and there you have it. The fan base is singing his name again, and that was magnificent. It was a credit to everyone there.
I mean, if you saw his interview as well on the pitch as well, and I'm sure you all did, whether you watched the highlights or the game live itself, because you were there, he actually said about staying on beyond his contract. I mean, I think the words that he used were, well, if they still want me, I'm still here. So, it's mixed reactions from everybody. Personally, I was a WOB, but I will support someone on the job that they're doing, and I think he's done a fantastic job in the second half of the season, so therefore I haven't got a problem. And I think that's the way the fan base needs to look at it. But we get back to highs and lows. Kate, I'd like your highs and lows for this season, please.
Lows, Spurs. Because any time losing to them is such a low. Highs, latter half of the season, FA Cup win. As Danny said, we won the second half of this season by 1 point, and the team came together. It was just really, really positive to see, and hopefully they continue that next season.
Yeah, definitely so. OG?
Yeah, I think everybody's really covered it. I would say that my favorite game was winning at Old Trafford in the FA Cup, and kind of what that represented, and hopefully there's more of those to come. So I mean that was excellent. The lows, losing to Spurs, that really bugged me. And anytime we lose to them, it bothers me. But I'm going to pick the ultimate high. There was a moment between the second and third goal on Saturday where I'd had a couple beers, I was losing my voice, and and it was just sort of after, I think it was right after Sanchez's goal. I just thought, you know what, we're going to win the FA Cup. You just knew it was done and dusted, and that was nothing like the FA Cup final last year, which was more like careening down a cliffside in a flaming car. That game, you just knew, and you could start to celebrate in your heart. You just knew that Villa would not have enough for us. We're probably going to score more goals. The alcohol was flowing. The fans were singing. We were at Wembley, and we were about to win our back-to-back FA Cup, our 12th FA Cup in our history. And I even think I tweeted something out. I said, that feeling that you feel right now, hold on to that forever. And I will. I'll hold on to that forever, because it's like riding on a high swing with a big malt liquor. It was awesome. So for me, it was that moment when you just knew we were going to win the FA Cup.
Gim, can I just say as well that another high of mine was OG's video that he posted in the bar about 5 or 6 hours later. In the toilets. Geoff, do you want me to tell the listeners what that video was like, or would you like to?
I don't want to relive that at all. You do whatever you got. You do whatever you got to do.
Well, Geoff had I think it's fair to say, Geoff, a private party that you attended, was it, for friends?
Yeah.
Which was quite a highbrow affair. You know, people were dressed smartly and were, you know, acting with decorum and sophistication. And our very own favourite Geoff donned his Arsenal away shirt and said, "No, fuck it, I'm going like this. Deal with it." And he attended his party, and he popped into the toilets, and he sent us a lovely WhatsApp video, which was just randomly him just singing "She Wore" and saying he was pissed and loving life, and it was just the greatest video I think I've ever seen.
That was superb, to be fair.
It was brilliant. It really was.
Did anybody see? There's a video being posted on Twitter earlier on. The Adelaide Gooners.
Yeah.
It's been 9 minutes long, and there's one guy in the middle of hundreds of Arsenal fans, and he's got a Tottenham shirt on, and he's not happy. He's so not happy. He's like me with Kamal just now. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It was superb.
Have you apologised to Kamal yet?
No, he wrote it. Tough.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We have been
I don't normally...
The Giroud Lama is here. Raj is here. Reverend is here
to man of the cloth amongst us.
To take all of our confessions.
Is the Rev on?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, the Raj
Speak,
was right.
Rev. Yeah, well, I did promise him a tip pick from Kate if he did come on. So, Kate, you better get those jubblies out.
I don't think he knows how to work this.
He does.
Where's he
there? There he is.
He's being a sly old fox. Hello, Rev.
I've had to come on to give Jason a slap for being so rude to people.
I'm not having that. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I've just come on to slap Jason for being rude.
No, I'm not having it. Tough. No.
Jason, how do you expect any of us to take you seriously when you're sat there with a cat in the hat on?
I love it. It's great. Look at it.
Budget Hartson.
Mate, in all fairness, you look like a right tit. But seeing as the Rev is here, and I don't know how long you're going to be with us, Rev. I hope it's for a long, long time. But let's have your highs and lows for this season.
My highs and lows?
Yeah, if you could pick one high and one low from the season, what would they be?
Well, you can't go too far away from the cup final because I'm a bit of a cup dude. But my high, for me personally, the win against Manchester United in the FA Cup was just a great feeling for me because we've just struggled to beat them for so many years, the last 2 or 3 years. That was brilliant. And my low is always going to be losing to Tottenham. That's always just going to be the sad one. Other lows, the Monaco game was just disappointment, but yeah, I'd go for the Tottenham one as the big low.
I think probably my high for the season, which is one that you guys have not said anymore, is the emergence of Bellerin and Coquelin. I think they've been fantastic this season. I don't think... You know, Simon alluded to it on the Bloggers podcast the other night. If you'd have said to someone at the start of the season that we'd have won the FA Cup with Bellerin playing at right back and Coquelin as a holding midfielder, you'd have just been laughed at. Seriously, they would have called the ambulance and you'd been gone off to the loony bin. That would have been you done with. But I mean, new seasons, we will see new additions in the summer. That's a given. There's lots of talk about Schneiderlin going around. There's lots of talk about Arturo Vidal popping up. But what I really want to talk to you guys about is, where will Bellerin and Coquelin be in regards to AFC next season? Do we still see them holding down a position? We have Debuchy, which, you know, if he stays injury-free, he's got to be in with a sniff of that position. Have they made those positions their own? Danny, we'll go to you. What do you make on those two players, and how do you see them featuring for Arsenal next season?
Well, I don't think Debuchy's going to get much of a look in. I know when a young player like Bellerin isn't going to be expecting to start every single game, because players of that age very rarely do, unless it's a Cesc Fabregas. And I think maybe Bellerin's future could be at the right side of midfield. But I don't think, if Wenger does start playing Bellerin from the start of the season, it looks like he's going to play him every game. If it ends up looking like that, then I think Debuchy is going to maybe think about his future with us, because he's 29. He's coming up to 30, and he's going to want to get in the France team for 2016 European Championships. I don't know how close he is to the team, because I'm not French and I don't really care. I don't even care about my own country, let alone another one. But I don't think he's going to want to hang around. But it's just a stroke of bad luck that we buy a close to world-class right-back as in Debuchy, and then we have someone who's coming through, a youngster who we had no plans to come through so quickly, looking like all we could ever want from a right-back.
It echoes of Ashley Cole and Silvino, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it does in a way. I mean, Kris, I wanted to talk to you specifically. I know you watch many leagues around the world. If I can take a quote from Bellerin a couple of days before the cup final, there was the emergence of Barcelona's interest, maybe wanting to buy him back. But he came out and he said an absolutely lovely thing that when I read it, I had the biggest smile on my face. So for all the people that normally listen to this podcast, they know that I'm a huge, huge fan of Hector Bellerin. But he came out and he said, if I'd have stayed at Barcelona, I don't know where I would be right now. A lot of the players that I came through the ranks with are now in the second division of the Spanish football. But look at me, I'm about to play an FA Cup final with Arsenal. And I'm so glad that I moved to the club. And I'm so happy to be here. And I'm absolutely honoured to be playing first team football. Those are lovely words, aren't they, Kris? And you've got to think that if Barcelona did come in for him, you've got to think that he would maybe go, do you know what, I'm happy here, I'm getting football. It would be a good thing to see him stay next season, would it not?
Yeah, 100%. I think the Barcelona link is tenuous at best. I mean, there's the La Masia sort of links and whatnot, but a couple of things. One is Barcelona, obviously, with this transfer embargo, which, you know, whether you think that will hold up or not, open to debate. But I think it's lazy journalism, a lot of it. Dani Alves is out of contract at the end of the season, so he's going to move on by the looks of it. So Barcelona need a right back. Oh, who can we pick? I know, let's pick one that was already there. It's tenuous at best. I think
Glenn Johnson is on a free, isn't he?
Glenn Johnson, yeah, get him in. You know, I think in a weird way that might actually help Arsenal, because if Barcelona bring through one or play somebody out of position, for example, for a year, and then if this transfer embargo is lifted and they go out and spend big money, you know, that will put them off a bid. But to be honest, like you said, he's a lad who seems very grounded. You know, he's another prime example of all the good, the things that Arsenal do well. I think that, you know, the way the young players are brought up, the way they're housed, the way they're educated. You know, I don't think we've had a really bad egg for a number of years. I mean, David Bentley was probably the last one that was a bit, you know, Johnny up himself, but he's very grounded. He's got an incredible Cockney accent for a Spaniard. It's right up there with Jeremy Aliadier's Cockney French before he left. It's bizarre, but he seems grounded. I think he's got a girlfriend in London. He's obviously settled here. He's got a good group of players around him, and he's getting first-team football. So, you know, why would you leave? And just on Debuchy, I know PSG are interested. I think John's just actually put that in the chat window, and there's a lot of talk that they're interested, but they've got two right-backs as it is already. So, I don't know. I think Debuchy should be happy to stay there. The Jenkinson one is probably the bigger question mark hanging over the summer. And like Dom has often said, why would you sell, one of your best players, keep them both. Let's keep a strong right back core, just like we've got a strong left back core. Two people competing against each other.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, and we have got a little bit of talk coming up about the loan players, so that is to come in the show. One of the things I also wanted to point out as well is, if you've watched the games that Debuchy has played, he gave an absolutely cracking interview to Match of the Day after the goal he scored at Aston Villa. It seems he's settled in, he's learned English very, very well, he seems like he's a good character, really good player as well. I haven't seen that from an Arsenal player and someone that's spoken that well since I see maybe Theo or Oxlade-Chamberlain give an interview. What I want to ask you boys and girl, I will go through you individually, is the right back slot is an interesting one, and I want to see who you want to play there next season. So I'm going to start off with Danny. Who would you prefer playing there? Because we've got 4 choices when you think about it. We've got Chambers, we have Jenkinson, who might possibly come back, we've got Debuchy, and of course we've got Bellerin as well. So which one of those season and why?
Debuchy all day long, because he's a brilliant player. He's a defensive right back, much like the difference between Gibbs and Monreal. Monreal is a defensive left back, and Gibbs is a more attacking full back, and sometimes get caught out of position. I think the same thing can be said for Bellerin, that he does get forward a little bit too much, and I think it's only right that we start the season with Debuchy. And then maybe I'd like to see Bellerin play as ahead of him as a kind of not a right winger, but a right midfielder, kind of the Ray Parlour kind of right-sided midfielder, not as in your Theo Walcott, the Ox, Gnabry, where they're an all-out attacking right midfielder. I don't think that will happen now. I think it'll start the season with Bellerin.
And we've also got real Josh Dawes put in the chat box. We shouldn't forget about Plegazuelio, or whatever his name is. I can never pronounce his name. I've done a Danny on him. Poor fucker. But we shouldn't forget about him, who is another emerging prospect. I mean, it looks so fantastic at Arsenal in so many positions at the moment. Geoff, you've got those 4. Which one do you start at the start of the season?
Which myself or OG?
You. I will call OG, and you, Geoff.
Gets very confusing sometimes.
It does.
You know what? I'm really not concerned about it. I think it's a difficult one for Arsene Wenger to call, but at the end of the day, Bellerin has held down that position for a long part of the season now, and I think he's done fantastically. Had a bit of a shaky start, the Dortmund game. But after that, he come in, and we was all a little bit sceptical after that start that he had. But he's come in and he's done a fantastic job. And at the end of the day, I think he's got to continue. But he's given the manager a decision to make, hasn't he? Because obviously he purchased Debuchy to come straight in. He's a French international, got bags of experience, and you know what? It's nice to have that kind of problem. Jenkinson, I think he'll go out and have another year on loan. I don't think we should really sell him. I think he may have a future at the club as well. And it's all good. The right back position, I think, is very promising for us. I don't think we've got any problems at right back. We've got plenty enough cover there. But like I say, he's given the manager a decision to make, and we'll have to see what happens, won't we?
Very true. Raj, you're with us, so I will ask you, who do you want at right back for next season?
I think Bellerin will start because of the way he's finished off the season. But as Danny said, Debuchy is an excellent player. And Geoff's correct in that we've got this fantastic decision to make, which we haven't had. We haven't had for 2 or 3 years. We haven't had these kind of decisions to make where we've got 2 or 3 players in the same position that are fit and available to play. So we're in a good spot. I mean, I'm not fussed which of those 2 players play because they're both excellent, and I'd back them 100%. Bellerin's got a great future with the club. Debuchy's a class player. I don't think Jenkins will go out on loan. I think we might get rid of him this summer, to be quite honest, and get him a career elsewhere. He deserves that. So yeah, I think we're in a good position, but I think Bellerin will start the season.
And we've had a few different thoughts on this one, and another main question for next season is the holding midfield spot. Now, we know that Coquelin has come in, and I think it was Kris that put in one of the WhatsApp groups, the first name on the team sheet for the second half of the season has got to be Coquelin every time. But we've been linked with Morgan Schneidlin, which is another interesting one. And I know Dom is probably touching himself as we speak, if he's listening to this. Who would you like to see start next season? We'll go through the rest of the panel. Would that be Schneidlin in the holding midfield role, or would you like to see Coquelin stay there and give that a go? I think, OG, we'll go to you first.
Well, I'm going to stick with Coquelin for now. I think there's a nuance to the positioning in that space, in that Coquelin has really played in that defensive, combative midfielder position. He's really shielded our defense. He's given our team balance, and he's allowed us to build offensively from that place. I'm a big fan of having that defensive stability. You know, if you guys recall Dom's stats, and sort of that key metric of a season, it tends to typically be the amount of goals that you concede. It's sort of a marker. And in fact, we conceded the third less, I believe. I think only Chelsea and Southampton were ahead of us. So, I mean, it's not a perfect science, but I really like that he gives us that defensive platform to build on. And I think when you hear about the names that are being linked, they're not all destroyers. So certainly not Kondogbia, but if I think of Schneidlin, he gives us something a little bit different. He can play in that space. He can play as a defensive shield, but he can also be more of a box-to-box midfielder. Vidal is somewhat similar. He can play, box-to-box, but he can also sit in that space. But for me, having that defensive stability is so very important that it's got to be Coquelin, and you got to go with the Arsenal boy, right? I mean, he's done terrific. He hasn't given us a reason to drop him. I do think, though, having some backup in that space is important. That we're talking about a position that has a high card count typically, so he's going to miss games, and also, we know how we are with injuries. Hopefully he doesn't get injured, but you want to make sure that you have a little bit of depth in that space to do that job, because we've certainly seen when we don't have somebody performing that role that sometimes we've struggled and we've conceded, goals that have been soft or maybe naive. So my thought is on that you stick with Coquelin.
I don't think there's really an awful lot you can add to that, unless has anybody else got a differing view from Kate, Kris, or Jason?
You know what? I don't think, in my honest opinion, that there has been a better defensive midfield player than Francis Coquelin that I've seen in world football over the last since January. I don't know about you guys, but so why have we got to change it?
That's a very bold
Geoff, I don't think that's the argument, though, is it? It's all about having some backup. So we've got two players who can play in that position rather than just one. Because if something did happen to Coquelin, then we'd be stuffed again. We'd be putting makeshift players in there. So we're in a position to strengthen this summer, and I think as Arsenal fans, that's what we expect to do.
To be honest,
I agree.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, but it all depends as well. Who are we going to get in? Is he going to buy one? To be fair to Francis Coquelin, he's done a hell of a job. Everything else is hypothetical. Are we going to buy Morgan Schneidlin or a Lars Bender or a Kondogbia or whatever? Who knows what's going to happen?
I think we will do. I think we will buy one of those three.
I hope we do.
I'm not too sure which one's the better of the three. I'm not an expert on that, but I believe that all three are very good players. And it's going to enhance and help Coquelin in a way, because if we get an experienced DM, Coquelin's still learning. He's had a fantastic second half of the season. Don't get me wrong, but he's still learning, and he can learn off these players. So we should fill our boots and get someone there.
Combined with that, it's a long season, isn't it?
Yeah. 50 games.
Yeah.
I think we should also remember as well that Schneidlin and Coquelin are different players. If we are switching about our tactics in order not to become predictable, because we could be accused of that in previous seasons, there are games when it would suit a Schneidlin. There are games when it would suit a Coquelin. Say, if it was a harder opponent where you needed to rough them up a bit and make a few tough challenges and just let them know you're there, maybe Coquelin would be more suited to playing that game. Whereas if the defensive midfielder had a bit more of an open role, say against one of your lower teams like Stoke or even a West Brom, that you could argue that Schneiderlin with his creativity would probably be the better of those two.
Yeah.
So
But if you're going to Stoke,
I know I posed the question.
Sorry, Gib. If you're going to Stoke,
go on, Jace.
if you're going to Stoke, you play the both of them. Because that's another game where sort of the Santi type players are just going to get battered about like they did this season. And they're not allowed to play. But with those guys and their physical presence and their athletic ability, they're able to stand up to it a bit more. I mean, it's all hypothetical at the moment, but fair play to Francis Coquelin. I would never have dreamed he'd be such an important player that he's been to us this season at the beginning of the year. Everybody thought he's gone.
No.
So kudos to the boy.
No. We'll get through this question then, and I apologise to both Kate and Chris. I will get your thoughts on both questions that I asked. Who would you like to see start right back next season out of the four that I've mentioned? And also, who would you like to see sign in that defensive midfield role? Would you rather we stick with Coquelin, or would you rather we sign someone like Schneiderlin? Chris, if you could answer both of those quick fire, please.
Yeah, I'd like to see. So the right back, I think probably Bellerin, just given the form, but a lot depends on injuries and various things pre-season. So as it stands now, Bellerin. As far as defensive midfield, I actually agree with Jason. Jesus Christ, that hurt. But sometimes we need to play. Sometimes we need to play two. So I think he's absolutely right. I think Coquelin deserves his place to start, but I would definitely upgrade, and I think we can go better than Schneiderlin. I mean, Vidal is the one for me. If he is available, I'm not joining the ITK ranks, but if he is available, and the interest apparently is genuine, break the bank, get him, because he is genuinely world class, and he will offer us something different that we don't have at the moment. He's more box to box. And he'll give us both an attacking and defensive element, which, Coquelin is brilliant at one, not the other. So, yeah, that would be who I would pick if I had my choice.
Fair enough. And finally, to finish it off, Kate.
I'm doing the finishing off today. I will go stick with Bellerin.
Dirty cow.
Because I think...
You were only saying what we were all thinking. Raj, you've got a tip pick coming your way, Raj.
That's what I'm on.
I fancy Raj thought he was on mute then,
I did think I was on mute, actually.
I thought so. I knew it.
We've got another end of season clagger. Kate, please finish us off. Coquelin or Schneiderlin or both, or what would you do?
Coquelin, I think, has been immense this season and deserves to be given a chance. I would love to see Vidal brought in. If not Vidal, then Schneiderlin.
Fair enough. I did see the microphone with a line through it go across a llama's face. For all of you that are watching, that was the Rev man muting his microphone, so he could say more dirty stuff. Right then, I think I'm going to finish off this segment by talking about what you're looking forward to most, and then we're going to do a little bit on transfers, what we need, who you think we're going to buy, and then we're going over to Jason and to Danny for the questions and the awards results. Last time I looked, I was dead level with Kris in sixth. You can fucking do better than that, people. Sort it out. Vote for me. A vote for Gimli is a vote for
Martha.
Graffiti.
I don't know. Yeah. No,
Even
not
you
Murphy.
don't know what even you don't know what it's a vote for. So how the fuck should they know?
All I can say is I've been claiming on Twitter all day that I'll be giving backhanders like Sepp Blatter. So it is worth your while. I didn't say backhanders. No, I said blowies. But I've put Jason up for that one. So, Jace, I'll send all of their names over to you later and you can sort it out for us. But anyway, back to the topic in hand. I want what you're all looking forward to next season. I'll go through you individually. Don't carpenter us, please. Danny?
Oh, that's a good question. Hopefully a season of injury-free No more of that nonsense of getting injured and being out for ages. All of our players being in form and going on and spanking people and doing the double.
Okie dokie.
And fuck the Champions League.
Geoff, I know you've got to go because time has unfortunately run out for you. But before you do, Geoff, what are you looking forward to next season the most?
I'm looking forward to having a right go. Like I said, we a couple of good signings. I think we have got a squad. Even the squad that we've got, I think that we could go on and challenge for the Premier League next season. And I've got a sneaking feeling we might have a little fluke and have another run at the Champions League. And I know that's what Wenger wants. He wants us to win that Champions League for the obvious reasons. And I've got a sneaking feeling we'll win one of the two of them next season. I really do. I hope so, anyway.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, we should let you slide off then. But before you do, Geoff, I'm going to get a bit soppy on you and say thank you so much for all your hard work this season. It's been fantastic. I think, Danny, you can give Geoff his award now. I think he's pretty much shit all over us, hasn't he?
Are we all ready for this? In last place now, wouldn't you like that?
Who's got the fucking button? Davies, get the button ready. And the winner of your favourite podcaster of the year award goes to...
You've got to do it in the right order. In bronze medal, somehow, is Jason. Boo.
That's a fucking fix. Before we do that,
that's over 105 votes. And in second place, fuck knows how he managed to do this, is with 125 votes, it's the Rev Raj.
Get in there!
It's a fucking fix, I tell you, boy. I tee out for you cunts every week and all I manage is 6. You can all fuck off.
Someone's bitter. 5 votes. It's me! Oh no, sorry, I read that wrong. It's Geoff Arsenal.
Seriously.
2 years in a row.
1,000 fucking monkeys behind a typewriter. They'll get something eventually.
Back-to-back winners, Geoff. Have you got an acceptance speech before you go?
Listen. If I can fix Twitter polls for the no fourth place trophy or nothing like that. Now, all jokes aside, I've had a really, really great time. It's great fun joining you lads, and thanks very much for winning it. Poor old Gimli.
And I should also mention, before you do go, Geoff, Podcasters of the Year in the FBA's 2014. So that's a hell of an award, and we will fucking be in it next year, won't we, boys?
Certainly will, and girl.
That's it, boys. Listen, God bless you. Thanks very much for a really, really good year, and I'll no doubt I'll talk to you on Twitter.
All the best, G.
Yeah, take care.
God bless, boys and girls. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Clear your diary for 11 weeks' time. And he's gone. Just like that.
Can we slag him off now?
It's a sad moment. I've got to hold back the tears. Right, we'll carry on where we were then. From one Geoff to another. Used that already. Geoff, what are you most looking forward to next season?
Well, I think it's right to say a sustained title challenge if we buy well. But I'd also like to add a different feel to it. I mean, if you had told me that we'd be talking about this a year ago, and you said to me, some of our star performers this year were Nacho Monreal, Hector Bellerin, Francis Coquelin, I would have said you're nuts. I would have said you're crazy. And every year we see this emergence of players in our squad, and it's one of the stories that I really like. And I talked about this a little bit on the podcast special or on the blogger special on the weekend. It's who are going to be the emerging players next year? Who are we going to be talking about in a year's time? Who's going to take that chance for the Arsenal and push us on? I've got big hopes for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think the Ox is a guy who's due. But who else is going to be there? And so it's those stories that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully that equates into a title push for us.
Yeah, definitely so. Right, we'll move on to Jason.
To be honest, to echo Danny and Geoff a bit, injury-free That would be the preference, obviously. That would be the great hope. And just let these guys battle it out for first team places, because I think the competition and the morale within the squad is really, really good. A couple of good additions, and the sky's the limit. It really is.
No, fair enough. Kate?
I am looking forward to the emergence of Ozchez and seeing how well they click together again in the second season. And the double, winning trophies and clicking as a team, and just, I can't wait till August already.
Yeah, I think we're all, when that FA Cup final whistle went, I think there was just joy and sorrow at the same time. I was happy that we'd won the FA Cup, but I was so miserable because I knew we wouldn't see Arsenal play for at least another, 9-10 weeks, is it? Something like that. It's just fucking terrible, isn't it? Raj, I'll come to you next. What are you most looking forward to next season?
I just want to tilt at the title. That's all I want, is a proper effort at the title, and the only way we're going to do that is by getting the right players in the summer. But we're not, as I said for the last couple of years, we're not that far off. If we get the right players in this summer, I don't expect trophies on a year-by-year basis, but I do expect, as an Arsenal fan, to just go for the title. And if we challenge and are still there or thereabouts in April, then I'll be very happy.
Very rightly so. Kris?
Probably much the same as the other guys, really. I suppose the only caveat I'd add to that is having football back in general. Obviously, from a biased point of view, we want to see Arsenal do well. I'm quite excited by a couple of the youngsters we've got coming through. I think there might be a few that might actually make it that people might not even know about yet, so that's quite exciting. And it could be a really interesting league next year. I think all of the top 5 need to strengthen and need to change things in the summer. Obviously, I hope we come out on top, but it could be a genuinely really interesting season next year. And I think the fixtures come out on June the 17th, so a couple
19th.
of weeks away. 19th, is it?
Yeah.
So only a couple of weeks away, and we'll see, the dates of Spurs away and Spurs home and all those fixtures we look out for. So it will soon come around, and hey, at least we've got 10 weeks to talk about transfers. That'll be fun, won't it?
Oh God.
Exactly, and that's what
Shall I get the gun?
That's what we're going to be heading into now on this podcast. But before we do, I've got 4 players' names here. I've got Podolski, Campbell, Sanogo, and Jenkinson, and for each of them, I want either a stay, a go, or a loan. So, if you were Arsenal manager, what would you flog them? Or would you loan them out? Danny, again, I'm going to start with you. Those players' names are Podolski, Campbell, Sanogo, and Jenkinson. What would you do?
Say them in that order, and I'll give you my answer one by one.
Podolski.
I'd give him another go. Plus, no one will buy him.
Okay. You know you're going to get absolutely raped in the chat box now. Campbell.
Sell him.
Okay, Sanogo.
Sell him.
Jenkinson.
I'd keep him because he can play right back or centre back, and he's an Arsenal fan, and that's good enough for me.
Fair enough. I'm going to pick 2 more of you to ask this question to. Next, I'm going to go to Kate. Kate, Podolski.
Keep.
Campbell.
Sell.
Sanogo.
Sell.
Jenkinson.
Loan. Because I think he's got potential, and another season out could bring his skills out.
Very interesting indeed. Finally, Raj, seeing as you're making the purring noise.
Go.
Podolski.
Go. They are 4 answers. Go.
He's talking Welsh, Chase. He's saying that train station, isn't he? Go.
Rangers.
Go.
Yes.
No, 4 goes for me. They can go.
Fair enough. And for the rest of you, go on. Sorry, Raj.
No, that's it. That was it.
Okay, fair enough. And for the rest of you, you get the interesting question. You are Arsene Wenger, and you have the money. Within reason, don't say Messi or Ronaldo, because I know one of you tits probably will. But you can sign 2 players for Arsenal this summer. Which two are you going to sign? I will start off with Davies.
Oh, you bugger. Check. And either Morgan Schneiderlin or Lars Bender.
Fair enough. Kris?
Two is tough. Vidal, 100%. Vidal and one other sort of an upcomer. I like the boy at Nantes, who's a centre back, but nobody will have heard of him. Papi Diavogi, but that's a hipster choice for you. But definitely Vidal if he's free. Thank you.
Fair enough. And finally, OG.
Oh, I hate this question.
Sorry.
Definitely one of Schneiderlin or Vidal. The question for me is, do I go goalie or do I go center forward? I think I go with Peter Cech as well. I like that option.
That's more than fair. Right then, we shall move on. And Danny, it's now your time to shine, because we're going to head over to you and Jace for the Twitter, Facebook questions and the end of season, because you'll read them out, and no wonder that fucking monkey will be there with his soundboard. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to just scroll through. Have you got a Facebook one to go, Jace? Because I'm just scrolling through all the Twitter ones.
Yeah, bear me a second.
Better late than never.
I didn't know it was happening. Okay, first of all, from Chris Tunmore. Your favourite wrestler, because Chris Tunmore is the ABW wrestler. Wants to say thanks for a great pod, lads. Great pods all season. And should we shoot more?
Oh dear, that's a tough one.
No.
That's someone.
He's a good boy, Chris. Rob Coward has asked, will there be an investigation of the Geoff winning favourite podcast member by so many votes? Jeff Blatter? Teflon
Fucking
Jeff?
right there will be.
Jeff Blatter.
Jeff Blatter.
I like that. But I did point out it was Danny who was canvassing shamelessly for votes.
And it didn't work.
You
I got
slag.
They still gave you, but I did put your name in it so you knew what I was doing.
Not the first time you didn't. I stumbled upon it. You
I
git.
put hashtag Welsh Justice in there. I knew it'd get its way to you eventually.
Absolutely. Right. On a more serious note from Rob, what do Arsenal have to do over the summer to make sure we progress next season? And I'm going to start off with you, Gimli.
What should Arsenal do? I think one of the things you've got to remember is that teams like Chelsea, Man City, Manchester United will be spending big money to improve on their teams. So what Arsenal have to do to have a chance of maybe being title contenders next season is they not only have to strengthen in the same way that the other big boys do, but they have to go that extra mile to try and get that leap on Chelsea as well. A lot of points between Arsenal and Chelsea this season. We have to try and close that gap as well as stay on a par with them in terms of squad and capturing players. So yeah, I think we need to go above and beyond whatever Chelsea do and the other big boys.
Okay, great. Kate?
Sorry, what was the question?
What do Arsenal have to do to progress next season?
Win more matches and concede less goals and score more.
No, shoot more. Yeah, shoot more. That's what the answer should have been.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. To the handsome other Geoff.
Yeah, I think we do have to make 2 to 3 signings this summer, and it's about getting that squad depth right to sustain a title challenge. But more than that, we have to get them in early, and we've got to have a settled squad because we saw the importance this year of starting strong. Chelsea got ahead of everyone else, and they didn't relinquish that. We need to start strong. We always seem to have these moments where are these seasons where we're either a little bit weak in the first half of the season, a little bit weak in the second half. And for us, it was our start that killed us this year. From Christmas on, or from January and February on, we were very strong. So making sure we hit the ground running and winning games, that starts right from the Community Shield, and we set the tone from there. So for me, we have to start strong.
Okay, great. Raj?
Stay injury free. Try and keep the momentum that we built up, from the last 3 months. Stay positive. Play good football. Get the right players in. We'll win the Premier League.
Superb. Kris?
You'll have to repeat the question, mate, 'cause my internet died. Sorry.
All right. What do Arsenal have to do next season to progress?
We've probably said a lot already, but yeah, definitely injury free. A lot of that comes down to luck. I think we need to make the right 2 signings in the summer. Consistency is a massive one. We need to start strong and maintain strong. We'll have the odd run because every team has a little blip, but we need to be consistent. Other than that, really, I think a lot comes down to luck. But yeah, we have to be consistent and not lose these big games again, because that was a big step forward this year.
Well, that's fair comment. Sorry about this, because my internet's just gone tits up.
Can we do some questions then?
No, it's okay. I'm only going to ask one more from Facebook. There weren't that many this week. Just a quick nod to Omar Hassan Khan. We've done the Cochran DM thing to death again. So that's covered your question, Omar. A big thank you to everyone who's contributed to the Facebook page and who just interacts, likes, or whatever. It's been superb. Thank you ever so much, guys. Really, really, really do appreciate it. The last one's from Alan Wiseman. It's kind of off Arsenal, more about football. What do you guys think the impact of Sepp Blatter's resignation will have on football? I'm going to start with you, Danny, as you're one of Sepp's brothers in crime.
I think in the short term, bugger all, because he's going to have someone else ready there who's going to be another arse kisser. They're just going to be more careful about how they run corruption. What they need to do is sack every single member of UEFA and FIFA. You've seen some of the mongs in the background when he's doing his acceptance speeches.
Danny,
Most of them are bloody grave dodgers.
I do agree with you there, but are you going to put yourself forward to be that mong?
Yeah, I certainly am, and I will do it for £1 a year.
Good man. Raj, you next.
It's the greatest thing that's ever happened. I've had a right go at FIFA over the years. It's been my little pet hate of mine, Blatter and all his cronies and stuff, and now he's gone. It can only be good. Interestingly enough, Platini probably won't stand for the spot, because it seems like Chuck Blazers said that he took bribes for '98, the France World Cup, so he's buggered. But there's a Korean footballing guy who might stand, and he owns most of Samsung, which means he's incorruptible, and he's actually stood in 2002 on an anti-corruption ticket. And if he gets in, he could well clean up FIFA. But I think there's some massive stories to come over the next few weeks, so stay tuned.
It's looking interesting, isn't it? One of the things is Blatter's not actually going until March next year.
I think from what I'm really happy following this for a long, long time, and I think you might find that he might be gone in the next. Someone said within 4 days, but in the next couple of weeks. The pressure on him will be too much, and the FBI are going to name him at some point. So it's all bluster from him. You know, I mean, it was outrageous that he stood on Friday. 4 days later, he stands down. And then he says he'll be here until next March. Well, that's not going to happen. There's just too much pressure going on. And I think he'll be gone sooner rather than later.
That's very interesting, thank you. Kris, I'm going to come to you next. Now, last Friday was fairly shameless in the way Blatter presented himself, presented the issues at hand as well. And it was quite sickening to those of us looking on at it. We've done a special on the FA and so forth in the past, and grassroots football. Do you think any of the football associations around the world will be untouched by this?
It's really tough to tell, isn't it? I mean, you're absolutely right. Well, what Raja said there is bang on. There's so much more to come out from all this, and I think we're going to hear an awful lot in the coming weeks, months, years. But it's impossible to tell. The trouble is, the biggest problem you've got with this whole episode with Blatter is that he did have his supporters. Now, whether that's because they were promised, backhanders, or whatever it may be, he had his supporters. I know he had a lot of African supporters, which is a huge draw. We know from our kit manufacturers, it's a massive draw in the African continent. So that's going to be on this side. As far as whether FAs are going to be untouched, I can't see the situation where there isn't anyone that this doesn't affect. The biggest thing that I think will be really interesting to watch is whether the Russian and Qatar World Cups go ahead. They're the two FAs that, well, do Qatar even have an FA? I don't know. We have to look into that. But that's going to be the real massive decision if there is to be one. I'm not saying England will get any of these World Cups. I couldn't really give a monkeys, to be perfectly honest. But for my money, one death is too many, and we've had a series of them in the Qatar situation, and obviously we know about the politics.
Over 1,500.
I mean, that's horrendous, isn't it? I mean,
Doesn't it work out to be something like 46 deaths for every game that will be hosted in the World Cup?
It's ridiculous.
And it's on the rise.
And let's not even go into their views on homosexuality. It's absolutely, it's criminal. And that's nothing against the Qatari people. It's nothing against them per se. But they're not a football country, and it's just a farce as to why they got that tournament, and let alone what it's going to do to our domestic season. So, to answer your question, I think it will affect pretty much all of them. And from a personal point of view, I really hope that whoever comes in, either calls for a revote, or that at the very least the Qatar and Russian World Cups are put under serious question marks before they go ahead.
Just one thing, Jason. Sorry. If 700 people had died at building a European World Cup final stadiums, set of stadiums, there would have been a lot more fuss.
Absolutely.
But because it's in Qatar and it's kind of
and the immigrants in Qatar,
Asian workers from Bangladesh and Pakistan and India and various other places, that it's just no one's really cared about it, and that's the one thing that's really disturbed me. If Germany had 700 deaths, we'd all be kicking up a fuss.
It's 1,500, Josh. It's 1,500 they've had.
I heard it was 700, to be honest. But
we've heard different ones. But again, these people turn up. They're cheap immigrant labour. They have their passports taken away from them, and they're treated as slaves.
Yeah.
And all these organisations, your McDonald's, your Coca-Colas, your Adidas's, they back slavery by sponsoring this, in my opinion. And there's no use of it.
Raj is spot on as well, Jace, with regards. I mean, you only have to look at the deaths of there's a couple of Argentinian footballers that have died in the past month. It's hard. Okay, yeah, there's massive coverage because Twitter is huge, but has it really been mentioned in this country? Not hugely. It seems like unless it's in Europe, it seems like nobody seems to talk about it.
Absolutely. I'm going to go on to Geoff next. Now, Geoff, with the Qatar and Russian World Cups coming under pressure, there's also an issue in Russia where, to be quite frank, they don't have a pot to piss in. Their economy is in real trouble. The cost of the games has gone from £2 billion to £4 billion, and they're struggling to be able to pay for rail links and so forth, the promised infrastructure that they were going to give to the Russian World Cup, with oil prices and gas prices at an all-time low. Can you envisage a point where Russia do not hold the 2018 World Cup?
That's a good question. It's hard for me to see how they'll lose it. It just seems to me that in the timeline that we're in, it's 2015. That's 3 years away. I just don't know if it's going to happen. But it's always a funny question when it came out that all of these charges were being laid, that the Russians were quick to defend FIFA. So that if you're the only country defending FIFA, you might have an issue. So we'll see. But I think that the comments around the loss of human life around Qatar, I'd already said, like, I'm not going to watch any of Qatar if it happens. I really hope that there's something that can be done there, because there's no justification for the loss of human life in this. The fact that they got the World Cup to begin with is pretty sickening, and then the fact that the way that they're going to achieve it is ridiculous. And I heard a stat this week. I'm not sure if the numbers are quite right, but they said if you held a minute's silence for every worker that they anticipate to die in building the stadium infrastructure for that World Cup, it would be 20 hours of silence. I mean, it just boggles the mind. It's sickening. It's sickening. So, from my perspective, I'd like something done around Qatar. I just don't think. I don't know if it's going to happen around Russia. They're the type of country to pull it off. So we'll see.
Yeah, time's an issue as well. Kate, what are your feelings about it all?
I don't know. We all knew that there was something dodgy going on when it was announced that Qatar had got it anyway. But the death is disgusting. I think Natasha put in the group chat that if it wasn't related to football, no one would know about the deaths either. It's terrible, and I think everyone's going to feel the fallout from it. It's like a ripple effect, isn't it? But I'm glad Blatter's gone. I think he's an arsehole.
Absolutely. And to end with you, Gim, there's been actual evidence floating around for the past 17 years with regard to Sepp Blatter. Do you think football can how long do you think it's going to take football to change because of this culture of greed and shameless corruption that's gone on, has been allowed to flourish and actually been celebrated at FIFA? How long do you think that's going to take to change, mate?
I mean, when you've got people on there saying, "Oh yeah, I'll vote for England for a World Cup destination if you give me a knighthood," it's just not good, is it? I mean, the person that has to come in has to start at the top and clean all the way down, because there is a cancer within FIFA that doesn't only just hit at the very top; it has worked its way all the way through. I mean, you look at Russia and Qatar, and to be honest with you, I think it's disgusting. I think when bid or the UK had the bid to try and bring the World Cup home, I couldn't see any other bid that topped us, to be honest. I mean, you look at the quality of stadia in this country, it's fantastic. And when you look at it, we created the fucking game. So, how fitting is it that we would have had the World Cup? But it didn't work out that way. Oh, what makes me laugh is, you get teams like England that'll go to it, and you'll get someone there and go, "Oh, well, if you go to Qatar and you drink, you'll get lashed." You can imagine the English person there going, "Yeah, I fucking know, I'm looking forward to it." But you look at the laws and whatnot. Behind the country itself, as Kris has already prompted, their views on homosexuality. I think it's absolutely disgusting that a World Cup like that could even go ahead. You look at even the temperatures that they're going to have in the daytime means that they've got to play the games at stupid o'clock. Whoever looked at that and thought that it was a wise idea was absolutely rotten to the core. And to answer your question, Chase, I believe it will take a good 5 to 10 years before you get world football back onto a level where you could say corruption is 80%, 85% stamped out. I don't think that you'll ever completely stamp it out, because as with any organisation, there's always some snidey cunt there to take a backhander. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
It was a good idea for a couple of people's bank accounts, wasn't it? That's it for Facebook questions. Once again, thank you to everyone who's on the page. You're all stars. Thank you so much. Daniel.
Yes, I'm not going to do any questions apart from one, because we've been going 2 hours now and you're doing a great job. The only question that I'm going to ask is, this is from It's the Arsenal, who is at Guna_Del. It says, ask Gimli's missus where my fruit basket is. I've got no idea what the fuck that means.
Who is that from?
Guna_Del.
So I put a thing on Twitter yesterday for the vote thing, saying that I'd vote, and someone asked if they voted would they get a fruit basket. Now, Dal, I quite clearly pointed out that it couldn't be a fruit basket, but it could be a pack of fruit pastels. However, the fruit pastels are gone. I ate them earlier, so really.
Unlike Raj, who's going to see Unlike Raj, who's going to see a completely different pair of melons in a minute.
It's the only reason I'm staying on.
He's got his camera on.
Exactly.
He's got his screen capture on.
Okay, right. Yeah, cheers for all the questions. But we need to hurry up because it's been 2 hours so far. Right, so I'm going to quickly go through the awards. The Prediction League was won by you, the beautiful listeners. Thank you very much, with 35 points. Only half the season was done. Runner-up was Raj. That's his second silver medal of the season. And third place was Gimli.
Boo.
Yes! Clap me! Clap
What was
me!
that for?
Where's
What was
my
that for?
fucking sound by your prick?
Hold up, it's coming. It's coming.
And third place is...
Thank you very much.
What was that for, guys?
Prediction League.
Ah.
Right,
Who's
okay.
first?
And now on to the actual proper awards. Arsenal Player of the Year. There was 1,382 votes. The winner is Santi Cazorla. No! Second place is Santi Cazorla.
Oh, you're such a dickhead!
I'm scrolling down the screen, right? And then I only had it at the top of the screen. It was Santi. Third place, Coquelin, Francis, had Frank.
Nigel.
Second place was Santi Cazorla. First place with 62% of the votes was Alexis Sanchez. Fuck's sake. Fuck that up, didn't I? This one I'm going to get right. Game of the season. Third place. Man United 1, Arsenal 2 with 21% of the votes. Second place. Come on. Well done. Man City 0, Arsenal 2 with 24%. But the winner by a country mile with 36%. Arsenal 4, Aston Villa 0, FA Cup final, woof, bang, wallop, lovely jubbly. Thank you very much.
I'm very much like Arsenal, we've saved the best to last.
No, there's still a few more to go. Arsenal goal of the season. Everybody got to pick 3. Third place was Jack Wilshere in the 4-1 home win against West Brom with 20%. Second place, because this one was only a few votes in it, Alexis Sanchez in the FA Cup final with 58%, and the winner with 59%. How can that be right? Oh, right, because there was up to 3 votes each. So the winner with 59% with only 9 more votes was Aaron Ramsey against Galatasaray in the Champions League. So Wales wins again. Lovely jubbly. Okay, right. Next category. The best podcast, ex-pro or celebrity guest. Third place.
Oh, just do it.
Number 11 is Perry Groves. And number 10 is Perry Groves. It's Perry Groves. With 18%. Second place.
Well done, Perry.
Second place, Anders Limpar with 20%.
Super sweet.
That's it. And the winner with 27%, you know, it's Matt Lucas. And he is here to accept the award. Busy fuck. He might be on next season, apparently.
No, he is here. He is here.
Oh.
I don't like it.
Oh, how do you feel about winning your award, Mr. Lucas?
I don't like it.
Are you a lady?
I want that one. Oh, I'm a lady.
Wrong one. Okay, the penultimate award goes to the best podcast journalist of the year. Oh. I'm surprised. Martin Lipton had a late surgery because he was rock bottom for ages. Alex Flynn comes third. Jeremy Wilson comes second, and the winner was Wilson.
You are Connery.
And the winner by a country mile with 65%. Shut up, you tit. Is Amy Lawrence. Oh, she was brilliant.
Are you sure it wasn't Amy Lawrence?
I'm quite positive it wasn't. Go on, round of applause for Amy, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You went on McLaren on the thinking. You went on that.
Danny, on the best podcast guest, you've got to tell the people who was fourth.
Okay. In fourth place, he's come fourth again. Gav.
Hold up for him.
13% was Gav. In third place is Andrew from Arsblog with 15%. In second place, the Goonaholic with 17%. He was on 4 times. But the winner, who's done an Amy Lawrence, it's only FK.
Sexual chocolate.
Oh, he's a cheeky monkey. He's the winner. of the Best Podcast Guest. I know he started the season as a podcast member, but then he got a better offer from somewhere else. From probably went on there to sort shit out. And yeah, that was it. We all know that Geoff managed to rig it, so he won. Old Geoff Blatter. And there's
Geoff Blatter.
Nearly 8,000 votes in total, so thank you very much, everybody. And that's it. And just one quick thing. When we wrap this up, Gim, don't do 20 minutes of acceptance speeches like the radio show did, because fuck me, I went out, I built a house and come back, and they were still droning on.
Droning, that's charming. Saying thank you to everyone, he calls it droning.
Oh, just go cheers, bye.
Get back in your chair and wheel away.
I can't, I've been clamped. Double parked again.
Lazy.
Oh. Right, go on in, Gim. It's all over to you.
So, who left you on bricks then, Danny?
Weren't you cheeky tart?
Right, we should...
I'm like a blur.
And you should have seriously put the pictures of what your old wheels looked like. It was just a wheel embedded in it was semen and pubic hair and lice. It was just a concoction. There was fucking crumbs off his mini cheddars as well. It was just a disgusting sight. I know I had to be sick in my mouth.
Most of it was the hair from the offspring, because it's like having a molting rat around the house. Hair everywhere. It's disgusting.
And I should ask as well, Raj, how's the adoption come through on that one?
What was for Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got the papers. I've even got a crib and everything. How old is she?
Well, she's having her first driving lesson tomorrow.
Oh, maybe not the crib then.
Yeah, well, about 14 years too late. Raj is still adopting me, by the way. He's got lots of money.
Fucking crib.
This has gone all very Savile, hasn't it?
Now then, move things along.
Yes, right, as always, we'll finish this off before we say our plans for next season with some shout-outs. I'm going to go first, and my shout-out goes to Josh_Pacey, who, unlike many who listen, voted for me in our awards. 67 votes for me, by the way. So that means that there's a whole 400 of you that are bastards. But that one, he voted for me, so I'd just like to say a thank you. I know he didn't expect it, so enjoy your shout out, Josh. Thank you very much. And Danny?
I just want to say well done to whoever helped Raj rig it with his hide my ass proxy server, 'cause there's no way he comes second. Most people don't even know who he is. He so rarely turns up. He did a fife on us nearly. So we had to pay him 50 grand in cash via a brown envelope at the back of a post office to get him to come on for the last hour. We managed to scrape that money together.
Just a bottle of Aunt Jemima in it for him.
Oh, lovely. My shout-out is going to go to my wonderful daughter, who is having her very first driving lesson tomorrow, and so she's going to be ended up dead in a ditch somewhere. So congratulations, dear. It's been nice knowing you.
That's absolutely charming.
Jesus Christ.
Next up, the Rev.
I'm going to do at MZK90, Mark King, who appeared on our podcast 2 or 3 times this season. On one podcast, me and Danny basically let him and Geoff just get on with it, and it was the most entertaining podcast for me for this year.
And I know we're going to do it again next season, so that's one for everybody to look out for. Kris?
He's been interacting this evening as well, Mr. King. I've been messaging him. He's been listening in, so evening, Mr. King. 3 quickies, if I may. One is to all the radio guys, John, Dom, Tim, Tom, Christ, Shredder, who's not here tonight.
Ding dong, wing wong.
Wing wong, ding dong.
Shredder's listening.
He is listening, yeah, absolutely.
He plays. Hey, Kris, he plays Wing Wong or whatever his name is.
Oh, jeez. I'm worried where this is straying. But no, seriously, the radio guys have been fantastic. Some of them had never even done this before, so credit to them, and we'll be back next year with more radioing. So thank you very much to all them. And the 2 shout-outs I've got, one is to Catherine in Chicago.
So what, you mean that wasn't your one shout-out?
Jesus, it gets worse, doesn't it?
Being greedy.
To the fucking rest of us, one shout out, thank you very much, wham bam, thank you ma'am, done. That cunt on there, I'd just like to shout them out, and my other 2 shout out, what other 2?
There's so many. Well, Catherine,
I'll get on with it.
Catherine is my main one, and the only other one, a personal thank you, just anyone that's that's donated in our pirate store. I do really, really appreciate it. I'm not going to read all the names. I just want to say thank you. I do appreciate it. There you go.
Wonderful.
Fuck off, you Welsh twat.
Next up, the twat in the hat, Davies. You're up.
Twat in the hat, brilliant.
I'd like to thank everybody who voted for me, but that would take too long.
Fix.
Fix.
Long list
Definitely
of
a fix.
Oh.
Welsh justice reigns supreme.
He's got a lot of family members.
Hey, boys, your bitterness is palpable, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. Go fuck yourselves. Shout outs to
Jason, you coming above me in that awards thing makes me so sad. I want to watch the Women's World Cup and touch myself.
Oh God.
Shout outs to Fife, you come and be here tonight because he's got to work. Love you, Andrew Fife. Hope it went well.
He's waving.
He's busy undermining the economy of third world countries.
Yes. That's why Russia's not going to watch.
He wipes his arse.
If you've got the FA Cup recorded on your Sky Plus, if you go to about the 40th minute, you will see a very, very pissed up Park Fife in the crowd. He will turn up just above where your pause button is on your screen.
Wearing a gold kit.
Oh, superb.
Yeah, wearing a gold kit.
There's probably real gold in him.
It probably was.
By the way,
yes?
I'd like to give you a special mention. But I can't be asked.
Don't ever let him control those buttons again.
I am seriously. I'm going to figure out how to use the buttons on this thing. And the start of next season is going to be a live podcast, and I will fucking own your Welsh ass.
He's like that. He's like that guy you take shopping with the kids to buy him a new toy, and he comes over with all the toys and plays with them himself.
I did that with their view.
Hashtag
I got the drum kit.
Come on, as Raj would say, get on with it.
Get on with it. Go on.
Okay, Kate.
What's the question again?
Thanks, what's the question?
I would
shout out, you dickhead.
Yeah, dickhead. No, mine are for the whole 24 people out there that voted for me. A massive thank you. And Yasmin_Guna, it's her birthday. Cheers. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Yasmin. And my last one is to Sadia, who is at the Goonerette, because I love Sadia. She's great. If you don't follow her, go and give her a follow. She's been on this season as well.
But if you divide the number of votes you got by the number of podcasts you were on, I think Kate comes probably second. And that means you've come even worse, Gimli, because you've been on nearly all of them.
And we all know it's all about Dom.
No. Because for this particular thing, I am combining both mine and Kate's votes. I'm going to call it...
we still don't beat Geoff.
Gimli. Camley. That's what we like fucking thing. We're Camley, and we came third. So thank you very much.
Randomising. Oh, there we go. Randomised. Hello.
Don't forget OG.
OG.
My shoutouts are simple. It's the 4 bloggers that blogged with me all season. They've done a fantastic job. So Neil,
give it a
Jake.
fucking rest, would you?
Not you, Geoff. He means Jason.
I'm never gonna finish this.
Not you, Geoff.
You guys are
fucking
killing
tosser in Wales.
That doesn't narrow it down much.
You know, I'd like to get through this.
It's not me. That's we all.
I'm charging by the hour, boys.
Jesus
Listen,
Christ.
It's
I'm dying.
Neil, Drew, Jake, and of course Simon. We recorded our blog, our bloggers pod on Sunday. Go and listen to it at the Bergie Blogs. That's it. I could have done that a lot quicker, guys.
I should finish off by saying that the plans for next season are, unfortunately, we aren't going to be putting anything out over the summer. There might become a point where we're all sat there and we all get really bored and decide to do something, but we kind of figured out that if we didn't promise anything, then you guys wouldn't expect anything. So there might be, but we're not committing to anything.
Our own version of Babe Station.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have Jason on there with a banana up his bum or something.
Fuck's sake.
I should also say, if you go to the ABW website, you can still donate to us and win your day out at a match with the Rev and Geoff. It is going to be full hospitality treatment from them. And remember, if you bring your partner, via Pinebury Corner,
yes,
and if you bring your missus along,
because it's not. Once the game's over, they can fuck off.
no,
Ever the host.
it's lovely. So, that's something to look forward to. So, if you want to go to Pinebury Corner, go to a game, and then be told to fuck off, please donate to our website to win that wonderful prize.
And no photos allowed.
I should finish off by thanking all of the wonderful people that have listened to this podcast over the course of the year. You've had many hosts, you've had many different topics, but you've had pretty much the same people here talking Arsenal week in, week out. We hope you've enjoyed it. We personally thank you. This has been an award-winning season for us. You have made us happier beyond our wildest dream. I still want my award, Davies.
Unlike Pinebury Corner,
but yes.
Arsenal haven't stolen our award off of us.
No, Jace has.
No. Jason has.
He sold it.
Buzz, you had the chance to go up there. You all shut out. I had to go up last minute. Go fuck yourselves.
Oh, the fucks are flying free tonight in Wales.
They are.
Wonderful. So I think we should end the podcast on that note. Now everybody has been thanked. We've gone through everything. It's been an absolutely. We'll continue to grow as ABW. We've got many, many more fantastic guests coming on next season. I'm personally working on one at the moment that I can guarantee will absolutely knock all of your socks off. It will blow you away. And we are talking about an Invincible that's not Lauren because it's been done. But yeah, thank you very much.
And to
so
the ones
that
who
was
couldn't be with us, like Dom. Oh, sorry, you've got a slight delay. Like Dom, OJ, other Geoff. No, OJ's here, isn't he? Geoff, I'm reading these, and Fife. So hello to you lot.
Fife.
Fife.
Who is currently on a free transfer, and we're going to see if we can do a swap deal for Mark King. We're yet to see how that one works. He probably is. He's probably doing some kind of powdered drug off of fucking prostitute's fanny or something like that. He's going to wash it down with he's going to wash it down with 15 pints of Guinness, and he's going to do 2 shots of Jaeger through his fucking eyeballs. Thank you very much. Park 5. Right, so that was a Bergkamp Wonderland end of season podcast. Thank you so much for listening to us this season. Up the Arsenal. Good night.
No, cheeky monkey bitches. See, got it in. None of you fuckers stopped me.
That was
we haven't finished
delayed,
yet.
wasn't it?
Are you still going?
Did we not chat? Thank the people in the chat box. Thank the people in the fucking chat. All the people in the chat box. Thank you very much for taking part.
Cheers to Chris Carpenter and to Geoff Hoolan. Oh no, that's us, isn't it? You all know who you are. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.
#BudgetJesus.